John Mercer straightened his tie as he walked through the grand entrance of the Galactic Council chamber. The massive doors made of rare metals from a dozen worlds swung open before him. He nodded to his assistant, who followed 2 steps behind, carrying data tablets and communication devices. "Another day, another debate," John said with a small smile. He had been Earth's ambassador to the Council for 7 years now. The job had its challenges, but he took pride in how humans had become valuable members of the galactic community. The Council chamber sparkled under the light of 3 artificial suns. 200 representatives from different species sat in rising circular tiers. Some floated in special atmosphere bubbles. Others lurked in shadowed alcoves adapted for their light-sensitive eyes. This was the heart of galactic politics, where the futures of trillions of beings were decided. John moved toward the human delegation's assigned area. He noticed several representatives turning to watch him, their expressions difficult to read on alien faces. Still, his years of diplomatic training told him something was wrong. "Ambassador Mercer," called a voice that made John's shoulders tense. "How fortunate you've arrived just after our vote concluded." Councillor Zixvar, the Vexillian representative, slithered forward. His blue scales caught the light as he moved. John had never trusted him. The Vexillians had opposed human membership in the Council from the beginning. "Vote?" "There was nothing on the schedule about a vote today," John replied, keeping his voice level. The chamber had gone strangely quiet. John looked around and saw that many representatives were avoiding his gaze. "A minor matter," Zixvar said with a flick of his forked tongue. "The Council has voted to restrict expansion into the newly discovered Orion territories. For safety reasons, of course." John felt his face grow hot. The Orion territories contained resources Earth desperately needed. Human explorers had discovered the region, and negotiations for settlement rights had been ongoing for months. "That's impossible. We were in active discussions about those territories. You can't just." The vote was unanimous. Zixvar interrupted. "Well, unanimous among those present for the emergency session called last night." John looked around the chamber again. Now he understood the guilty looks. "An emergency session I wasn't informed about. A regrettable oversight," Zixvar said, not sounding regretful at all. John's communication device buzzed. President Olivia Summers was calling from Earth. He stepped aside to answer. "Madam President, we have a situation," he said quietly. "I know," she replied. Her voice was calm but serious. "We're getting reports from our intelligence officers. This wasn't just about the Orion territories. They've been working against us for years." "John, what do you mean?" "The trade restrictions last year, the blocked research permits, the diplomatic missions that mysteriously failed. It's all connected. They're afraid of us, John. They've been holding us back deliberately." John looked over at Zixvar, who was watching him with an amused expression. "What do you want me to do?" John asked. There was a pause before the president answered. "Implement Protocol Omega." John's eyes widened. "You're sure?" "Completely. It's time they learned we won't be manipulated." John ended the call and walked back to the center of the chamber. The room fell silent again. "Ambassador Mercer, shall we continue with today's agenda?" asked the council chairperson, an elderly Durrani with weathered gray skin. "That won't be necessary," John said, his voice now loud enough to reach every corner of the vast chamber. "As of this moment, Earth and all human colonies are withdrawing from the Galactic Council. All treaties, trade agreements, and diplomatic relations are suspended indefinitely." Zixvar's smug expression vanished. "You can't be serious. All human personnel will be leaving Council space within the next 72 hours. Any Council representatives on human worlds have the same time frame to depart." The chamber erupted in shouts and cries. Some representatives jumped to their feet. Others activated translation devices, certain they had misunderstood. "This is madness," Zixvar hissed. "Over one territory dispute." John looked directly at him. "This is about much more than territories, Counselor. As you'll soon discover." He turned and walked toward the exit, his back straight, his steps steady. Behind him, chaos spread through the council chamber like wildfire. The human retreat from diplomacy had begun. Commander Grace Hoffman stood in the control center of Earth's main space station. Screens covered the walls, showing hundreds of human ships moving across star maps. Her team worked quickly at their stations, sending coded messages to human settlements across council space. "Status report," Grace said to the young officer beside her. 90% of merchant ships have cut their trade routes. The officer replied. Research teams on Proxima B and Ta City have packed up. Military outposts in sectors 7 through 12 have gone dark. Grace nodded with satisfaction. The retreat was happening faster than even she had expected. After Ambassador Mercer's announcement, every human in council space had received the same message: "Come home now." What about Secretary Powell's economic strike? The officer pulled up new data on her screen. All human banks have frozen council accounts. Our companies have shut down their factories on council worlds. The Vexillian stock market has already dropped 30%. In his office on Mars, Secretary Daniel Powell watched market values collapse across council space. For years, human businesses had become essential parts of the galactic economy. Now those businesses were pulling out all at once. He took no pleasure in the chaos, but the council had left Earth no choice. His communication device beeped. "Powell here. Secretary, this is Director Clark. My teams have removed all research equipment from council facilities. The Loraxian plague research is safely on its way back to Earth." Powell frowned. What about Dr. Reeves? She was close to a cure. She took everything, including her notes. The Loraxians will have to start from scratch without her. Powell knew this would cause suffering, but the council needed to understand what they were losing. "Good work, Director. Keep me updated." Across the galaxy, the effects of the human withdrawal spread like ripples in a pond. On the council world of Nexus Station, food shipments failed to arrive. On Vexilia, human technicians abandoned half-built power plants. On the medical world of Loraxia, patients waited for treatments that would never come. In the council chamber, representatives argued loudly. Some demanded military action against Earth. Others called for immediate negotiations to bring humans back. "This is merely a tantrum," Councillor Zixvar insisted. "Humans are emotional creatures. They will return when they calm down." Councillor Erilton, a small gray being with large, thoughtful eyes, shook his head. "You misunderstand them, as always. This is not emotion. This is strategy." "What do you mean?" asked the council chairperson. "Look at the pattern of their withdrawal," Erilton said. "They're not just leaving. They're showing us exactly how much we depend on them. Every action is calculated for maximum impact with minimum harm. This is not anger. This is a lesson." On Earth, President Olivia Summers met with her advisors in the underground war room. The walls showed the same star maps Grace was watching from the space station. "The Council has sent 3 messages asking for negotiations," said an aide. Olivia shook her head. "No response yet. Let them feel the effects for a few more days." "Some council members are threatening military action," said Admiral Heather Wright. "They won't attack," Olivia said confidently. "Half their weapon systems were designed by our engineers. They don't know which ones might have hidden shoot-off codes." John Mercer entered the room, looking tired after his return journey from council space. "Madam President, our intelligence suggests the Dreth Imperium is taking advantage of the situation. They've moved ships into territories we used to help protect." As expected, Olivia nodded. "Stage 2 is proceeding exactly as planned." "The council never believed we would actually leave," John said. "They thought we needed them more than they needed us." "That was their mistake," Olivia replied. "Now they learn what happens when humans retreat from diplomacy." In the darkness of space, human ships continued to move steadily toward Earth-controlled territory. Behind them, They left confused and frightened council worlds that were only beginning to understand how much they had come to rely on the very humans they had tried to control. The silent retreat continued, and the galaxy held its breath. 2 weeks after humanity's withdrawal, Prime Minister Aaron Blackwell stood at the window of his office on Mars. The red planet had become humanity's second home, a thriving colony with cities under massive domes. From his window, he could see ships arriving from across council space, bringing humans back to safe territory. His assistant entered the room with a data tablet. "The latest reports, sir." Aaron took the tablet and scrolled through the information. The numbers told a clear story of growing chaos across the galaxy. Supply shortages on 17 council worlds, 3 border conflicts that had erupted into shooting wars, economic systems failing on planets that had depended on human trade. "Has Dr. Reeves arrived yet?" Aaron asked. "Yes, sir. Her ship docked an hour ago. She brought all her research on the Loraxian plague." Aaron nodded. "And the reports from Loraxia?" The assistant's face grew grim. "Not good, sir. Without Dr. Reeves and her team, the plague is spreading again. They've lost control of the outbreak in 2 major cities." Aaron felt a twinge of guilt. Thousands would suffer and die because of humanity's withdrawal. But the council had forced their hand. Sometimes hard lessons required sacrifice. Across the galaxy, on the Dreth homeworld, High Chancellor Querthal addressed his war council. The Dreth were tall, muscular beings with rigid shells covering their upper bodies. For decades, they had been the council's main rivals. "The humans have given us a gift," Querthal said to his generals. "Every system they protected is now vulnerable. Every border they patrolled is now open." "We have already taken 3 systems," said the Dreth war commander. "The council forces are stretched too thin to stop us." Querthal smiled, showing sharp teeth. "And what do our spies say about human intentions? Will they try to stop us?" "No, High Chancellor. They are focused only on bringing their people home. They ignore our advances completely." "Interesting," Querthal said. "Perhaps later we should speak with these humans. They may make better allies than the weak council." On Earth, General Mason Howard reviewed defense reports in his underground command center. The screens showed the locations of human fleets, now positioned to protect Earth-controlled space, but not interfering elsewhere. "Sir, we've received private messages from 5 non-council species," said his communications officer. "They're all asking for meetings with Earth representatives." Mason raised an eyebrow. "Which species?" "The Norari, the Vulpians, the Trell Collective, the Sundari, and even the Zithian Empire. All of them have had problems with the Council in the past." Mason sent a message to President Summers. This was happening faster than expected. Species that had been afraid to oppose the Council were now seeing Earth as a potential leader for a new alliance. In the emergency council session, the chamber was in chaos. Representatives shouted over each other. Some pounded on their desks. Others had formed small groups, whispering urgently. "We must offer concessions to bring the humans back," argued a representative from a world that had depended on human medical technology. "Never," Councillor Zix Vargist. "This is simply proving what I've always said. Humans are too unpredictable to be trusted with full council membership." "Then why is your world's economy collapsing without them?" asked another representative, causing Zixfar's scales to darken with anger. Councillor Erilton watched the arguing with sad eyes. As a member of a species known for mediation, he understood the situation better than most. "We treated them as children when they were actually the adults in the room," he said quietly to the council chairperson. "Now we are paying the price." "Can you speak with them?" the chairperson asked desperately. "Your species has always had good relations with humans." "I can try," Erilton said, "but they will demand real change, not empty promises." On a secure communication channel, President Summers spoke with Dr. Samantha Reeves about the Loraxian plague. "We'll continue the research here," Samantha said. "I'm close to a cure, but it will be ready on our terms, not the Council's." "Good," Olivia replied. The suffering is regrettable, but necessary for our strategy. And what is the next step in that strategy? Samantha asked. Olivia smiled. Now we reveal what we've been hiding from the Council all these years. Deep beneath the surface of Earth's moon, Dr. Nathan Kelly walked through a massive laboratory hidden from the rest of the galaxy. Scientists and engineers worked at stations filled with technology that would shock the Council if they knew it existed. How much longer until Project Prometheus is ready? Dr. Kelly asked his team leader. 3 more days, the woman replied. The quantum communication network is already online. The energy systems are at 95%. The defensive shields are fully functional. Dr. Kelly nodded with satisfaction. For 10 years, Earth had been developing technology in secret. While sharing some advances with the Council, they had kept their most important discoveries hidden. The Council had always treated humans as the newest, least advanced species. That illusion was about to end. The President wants a demonstration ready when the Council representatives arrive next week, Dr. Kelly said. Make sure everything works perfectly. Meanwhile, light years away, Lieutenant Abigail Martinez moved silently through the dark corridors of the Council's central archive. Her stealth suit made her nearly invisible to the security systems. Her team had spent months planning this mission. I'm at the central core, she whispered into her communication device. Beginning data extraction. She plugged a small device into the archive's main computer. Within seconds, it began copying the Council's most secret files. These weren't just political documents. These were the records the Council had kept hidden for centuries, their true plans and beliefs about each species under their control. You won't believe what I'm seeing, Abigail said as she scanned the files. They've been manipulating everything. Trade routes, technology development, even cultural exchange, all to keep everyone dependent on the Council. And what about humans specifically? Asked Director William Foster from his secure office back on Earth. It's worse than we thought, Abigail replied. They've been deliberately restricting our development. The technology bans, the expansion limits, it was all designed to keep us weak. Some of the elder races were even discussing plans to eventually take direct control of Earth. Get everything you can, William ordered. The President needs this evidence for the meeting. Back on the Council homeworld, Councillor Trelvas sat alone in his office, reviewing data from across the galaxy. As head of Council security, he had access to information other Council members didn't see. What he saw troubled him deeply. The human withdrawal hadn't been chaotic or emotional. Every step had been carefully planned. Military units had pulled out in perfect sequence. Research teams had taken exactly the right equipment. Economic ties had been cut with surgical precision. This wasn't a tantrum, he muttered to himself. This was a strategy years in the making. He pulled up more data, looking at human activity before the withdrawal. Subtle patterns emerged. Certain technologies had been developed and then mysteriously abandoned. Key human personnel had been quietly replaced in joint projects. Supply depots had been slowly increased in human territory. They were preparing for this all along, Trelvas realized with growing alarm. But why now? What changed? His computer beeped with an alert. Security systems at the Central Archive had detected an anomaly. By the time guards arrived, they found nothing. But Trelvas knew better. The humans had taken something. But what? On Earth, President Olivia Summers met with her full cabinet in the heavily protected underground command center. The room was filled with Earth's most powerful leaders. The Council has officially requested a meeting, she told them. They're sending representatives to Luna next week. They'll offer concessions to bring us back into the fold. Will we accept? Asked Secretary Powell. No, Olivia said firmly. We're not going back to the old arrangement. The evidence Lieutenant Martinez retrieved confirms everything we suspected. The Council never saw us as equals. They saw us as a threat to be contained. So what's our next move? General Howard asked. We show them exactly why they were right to fear us, Olivia said. but not in the way they'd expected. Dr. Kelly's team has completed Project Prometheus. We're about to change the balance of power in the galaxy forever. On screens around the room, images appeared of technology beyond anything the Council races possessed. Quantum drives that could cross the galaxy in days, not weeks. Energy shields that could withstand any known weapon. Communication systems that couldn't be blocked or monitored. The Council tried to keep us weak, Olivia said. Instead, they forced us to become stronger than they could imagine. 1 month after humanity's withdrawal, Admiral Frank Turner stood on the bridge of the Earth flagship Defiant. Through the main viewport, he watched his fleet patrol the border of human space. 50 ships moved in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming in the light of a distant sun. "Admiral, we're picking up distress signals from the Taurian system," said his communications officer. "It sounds like the Dreth Imperium is attacking the main colony." Frank nodded. The Taurians had been under Council protection. Now, with human forces gone, they were defenseless against the aggressive Dreth. "Any Council ships responding?" he asked. "No, sir. The nearest Council fleet is 3 days away." Frank considered his options. The Taurians had always been friendly to humans. They didn't deserve to suffer because of Council politics. "Set course for the Taurian system," he ordered. "But we're not engaging the Dreth directly. Position our ships between their fleet and the colony. Defensive posture only." His officers moved quickly to follow his orders. The Defiant and 5 other ships changed course, their new quantum drives allowing them to reach the Taurian system in hours instead of days. When they arrived, 3 Dreth warships were bombarding the colony's outer settlements. Frank had his fleet form a protective wall between the attackers and the planet. "Dreth vessels, this is Admiral Turner of Earth. The Taurian colony is now under human protection. Withdraw immediately." There was a long pause before the Dreth commander responded. "Humans have no authority here. The Council has abandoned this system." "We're not claiming Council authority," Frank replied calmly. "We're establishing a new protection agreement directly with the Taurians. Your quarrel with the Council doesn't involve them." The Dreth ships held position, their weapons still aimed at the colony. Frank knew they were assessing the human vessels, trying to determine if they could win a fight. "Stand firm," he told his crew. "Let them see our new shields." After several tense minutes, the Dreth ships turned and moved away from the planet. They hadn't fired a single shot at the human fleet. Word of Earth's new military capabilities was spreading. On Alpha Centauri, humanity's oldest colony world, Governor Patricia Bennett welcomed representatives from 12 non-council species. They gathered in a grand meeting hall, nervous but hopeful. "Thank you for coming," Patricia said to the assembled aliens. "Earth understands that the Council's current weakness affects all of you. We're here to offer an alternative." "What kind of alternative?" asked the representative of the bird-like Avari. "Direct trade agreements between your worlds and human colonies. No Council taxes or restrictions. Fair prices for your goods and ours." The representatives looked at each other in surprise. Such arrangements had been forbidden by Council law for centuries. "The Council would never allow this," said the Norari delegate, his tentacles waving anxiously. Patricia smiled. "The Council is in no position to stop us. Their fleets are stretched too thin. Their economy is in crisis. Now is the time for independent worlds to form new alliances." One by one, the representatives agreed to her proposal. By the end of the day, Patricia had established trade deals that would make Alpha Centauri a new hub of galactic commerce, completely outside Council control. Meanwhile, deep in space, Ambassador Kimberly Wells met secretly with representatives from the powerful Zithian Empire. The Zithians had never joined the Council, maintaining their independence through military strength and strategic alliances. "Earth has impressed us," said the Zithian Prime Minister, his crystalline body glowing with blue light. "For a young species, you show remarkable strategic thinking." "We were underestimated," Kimberly replied. "The Council saw us as naive newcomers who would follow their rules without question." "And now?" the Zithian asked. Now we're creating new rules. The galaxy needs a better system than what the Council provided. We believe the Zithian Empire could be a valuable partner in building that system." The Zithian considered her words. "What exactly are you proposing?" "A mutual defense pact, shared technology development, and eventually, a new interstellar alliance based on actual equality, not the fake equality the Council claimed to offer." The Prime Minister's glow brightened, a sign of interest in Zithian culture. "The old powers will resist." Kimberly nodded. "They will try. But the balance of power has already shifted. The Council's authority is crumbling. Supreme Commander Voxdar can't even maintain basic security in their core systems anymore. And when the Council comes begging for humans to return, we'll offer them a place in the new order," Kimberly said. "But never again will they dictate terms to Earth." The Tranquility Diplomatic Center on Luna gleamed under Earth's light. Built into the side of a crater, its crystal domes and silver towers made it the most impressive human structure in the solar system. Today, it would host the most important meeting in human history. Chief Justice Elizabeth Morgan reviewed her presentation one final time. The evidence against the Council was overwhelming. Years of secret recordings, thousands of hidden documents, proof of a conspiracy that spanned centuries. "Are you ready?" asked Dr. Ryan Palmer, who stood beside her. His advanced AI systems had been crucial in decoding the Council's encrypted communications. "As ready as I'll ever be," Elizabeth replied. "How many worlds will receive the broadcast?" "Over 300, Ryan said. "Every inhabited planet with communication technology. We're bypassing the Council networks completely." Outside the main conference room, Special Agent Jack Bishop checked security arrangements one last time. Council representatives would arrive within the hour. His team had scanned every inch of the facility for potential threats. "All security systems are operational," reported his deputy. "The quantum shields are at full strength." Jack nodded. "And our guests from the non-Council worlds. Already seated in the observation gallery, 27 species represented." Inside the main hall, President Olivia Summers greeted the arriving representatives from independent worlds. Many had traveled for weeks to witness this historic event. They watched nervously as final preparations were made. President Summers called a tall, willowy being from the Avari delegation. "Is it true you have invited Council media to broadcast this meeting?" Olivia smiled. "We've done better than that. We're broadcasting directly to every world in the galaxy. Everyone will see what happens here today." A hush fell over the room as the doors opened. The Council delegation entered, led by Grand Arbiter Xelmosh, a respected elder known for his fairness. Behind him came representatives from the Council's most powerful worlds, including Councilor Zixbar, whose scales seemed duller than usual. "President Summers," Xelmosh said with a formal bow, "the Galactic Council appreciates your willingness to meet. We come prepared to offer significant concessions to restore diplomatic relations." "Please be seated," Olivia said, gesturing to the large circular table. "But I should warn you, this isn't a negotiation about our return. This is a revelation about why we left." Confusion showed on the alien faces. This was not what they had expected. Once everyone was seated, Olivia nodded to Chief Justice Morgan, who activated a large holographic display above the table. "Distinguished representatives," Elizabeth began. "For decades, humans have been told we are equal members of the galactic community. Today, we will show you the truth behind that lie." The display filled with images, documents, and recordings. The evidence was presented methodically, beginning with the earliest Council discussions about Earth. The aliens watched in growing horror as their leaders' true thoughts about humanity were revealed. "Humans must never achieve their potential," said a recording of the previous Council chairperson from 15 years ago. "Their adaptability and aggression make them too dangerous. We must guide their development into channels that serve the Council while limiting their growth." Document after document showed how the Council had systematically restricted human expansion, blocked technological development, and manipulated Earth's economy to create dependency. "This cannot be real. protested Zixvar, rising from his seat. These are fabrications. Dr. Palmer stepped forward. Every file has been authenticated. Every recording verified by multiple independent systems. But if you doubt the evidence, perhaps you'd like to explain this. The display showed a secret meeting from just 3 months earlier. There was Zixvar himself, speaking to the Council's inner circle. The human problem grows worse. They're beginning to question our restrictions. I propose more direct measures to ensure their compliance. Grand Arbiter Selmosh turned slowly to look at Zixvar, his ancient face showing deep distress. Is this true? Have we betrayed our own founding principles? Before Zixvar could answer, President Summers spoke. While you've been watching our presentation, this same evidence has been transmitted to every world in the galaxy. The Council's deception is now known by everyone. The Council representatives looked stricken. Some hummed their heads. Others whispered urgently to their aides. What does Earth want? Selmosh finally asked, his voice heavy with shame. Reparations. Punishments for those responsible. Neither, Olivia replied. What we want is much simpler and much more difficult. We want a complete transformation of how species interact in this galaxy, and we have a plan to achieve it. The day after the explosive revelations at the Luna Conference, Secretary Nicol Grant stood before the gathered representatives. The Council delegation looked defeated, while the independent worlds watched with keen interest. It was time to reveal humanity's vision for the future. For centuries, the Galactic Council has claimed to represent unity and cooperation, Nicol began. But we've seen the truth. They created a system that preserved their power while limiting others. Today, we propose something different. She activated a holographic display showing a new organizational structure, a web of connections rather than the Council's pyramid of authority. We call it the Galactic Confederation, Nicol explained. Every member world has equal standing. Decisions require true consensus, not the false votes the Council arranged in secret. Power is distributed, not centralized. The aliens studied the proposal with curious eyes and other sensory organs. Some nodded with approval. Others whispered among themselves. This is naive idealism, Councillor Zixvar said, though his voice lacked its usual confidence. Galaxy-wide governance requires strong central authority. Does it? Nicol asked. Or is that just what the Council claimed to justify its control? We believe decentralized systems with proper checks and balances work better. Earth's own history taught us the dangers of too much centralized power. Elder Kilomnera, the oldest council member present, leaned forward. Her ancient eyes had seen centuries of galactic politics. Your proposal has merit, she admitted, surprising everyone. The council system has become corrupt over time. Perhaps it is time for new ideas. Outside the conference hall, on a massive viewing platform overlooking the lunar surface, Admiral Benjamin Lewis prepared for his demonstration. A crowd of representatives had gathered to witness Earth's new technological capabilities. What you're about to see was developed in secret, while the Council thought they were restricting our progress, Benjamin told the audience. We call it the Prometheus Shield. He activated a control panel. Above them, in lunar orbit, a small fleet of Earth ships engaged their defensive systems. A shimmering energy field surrounded each vessel, almost invisible except for a subtle distortion of the starfield behind them. Our automated drones will now simulate an attack, Benjamin explained. The aliens watched in amazement as dozens of drones fired powerful energy weapons at the shielded ships. The beams struck the shields and simply disappeared, absorbed completely. Not a single shot penetrated. The shields convert incoming energy attacks into usable power, Benjamin said. The more you attack, the stronger our defenses become. The crowd murmured in astonishment. Such technology was far beyond what the Council possessed. We aren't sharing this to threaten anyone, Benjamin continued. These are defensive systems, designed to protect, not attack. And we're willing to share this technology with all peaceful worlds that join the Confederation. Back in the main conference hall, Dr. Laura Andrews presented humanity's advances in medicine, environmental restoration, and sustainable energy. She showed how Earth scientists had cured diseases that still plagued Council worlds, developed terraforming techniques that could save dying planets, and created energy systems that required no fuel. The Council restricted the sharing of these technologies, Laura explained. They feared that access to such advances would make worlds less dependent on them. The Confederation will have no such restrictions. Knowledge belongs to everyone. By the end of her presentation, even the most skeptical representatives looked impressed. Many were already sending urgent messages back to their homeworlds. Elder Kilnera slowly rose from her seat. The room fell silent out of respect for her great age and wisdom. "I have served the Council for 300 years, she said, her voice thin but clear. "I joined believing in its noble purpose. Over time, I watched that purpose become corrupted by fear and the desire for control." She turned to face Nicole Grant. "Your Confederation proposal is not perfect. It will face many challenges. But it offers something the Council has lost: hope for genuine cooperation based on trust rather than dominance." Looking at her fellow Council members, he added, "We must acknowledge our failure. The humans have shown us a better path forward. I, for one, will support their Confederation." One by one, representatives from other worlds stood to express their interest in the human proposal. Even some Council worlds broke ranks, drawn by the promise of technology sharing and true equality. Zixvar watched in disbelief as the galactic order he had known all his life began to crumble before his eyes. 6 months after Earth's withdrawal from the Council, the newly constructed Harmony Station floated in neutral space. Unlike the imposing Council chamber with its hierarchical design, Harmony Station was built as a perfect circle, with meeting spaces that emphasized equality among all species. Today, representatives from over 200 worlds gathered for the official signing of the Confederation Charter. The massive central chamber hummed with excited conversation in dozens of languages. Beings of all shapes and forms mingled freely, without the strict protocols that had governed Council meetings for centuries. President Olivia Summers stood at the center podium, looking out at the gathered delegates. Beside her, Ambassador John Mercer felt a strange sense of completion. His walkout from the Council chamber months ago had set all this in motion, though few knew how carefully planned that moment had been. "Representatives of the galaxy," Olivia began, her voice carried by translators to every ear, tentacle, and sensory organ in the room. "Today marks not just the founding of a new alliance, but the beginning of a new approach to galactic cooperation." The crowd grew quiet, listening intently. 6 months ago, humanity withdrew from the Galactic Council. Many believed we were acting out of anger or pride. The truth was much simpler. We saw a broken system that needed to be replaced, not reformed. She gestured to the charter displayed above her, its text visible in multiple languages. "This Confederation Charter enshrines principles that should have been obvious. All intelligent species have equal worth. Knowledge should be shared, not hoarded. Power should be balanced, not concentrated. Defense should protect all, not just the privileged." One by one, representatives came forward to sign the charter. The Zithians, once rivals to the Council, were among the first. The Avari, the Norari, and dozens of other independent worlds followed. Then came former Council worlds, including those represented by Elder Kilnera, who had become a surprising champion of the new order. Admiral Heather Wright watched from the side of the chamber, coordinating security teams composed of soldiers from 30 different species. This mixed force symbolized the Confederation's new approach to defense: shared responsibility rather than dependency on Council protectors. "Any signs of trouble?" she asked her deputy. "None, Admiral. Even the remaining Council loyalists are keeping their distance. They know they're outnumbered now." Across the chamber, Councillor Zixvar watched the proceedings with his small group of allies, the few worlds that still clung to the old Council structure. His once bright scales had dulled further, and his proud posture had given way to a slight stoop. "This cannot last," he muttered to a companion. "These humans know nothing of galactic governance. Their confederation will collapse within a decade." "Perhaps," his companion replied. "But perhaps not. Look around. Have you ever seen so many species working together willingly?" As the signing ceremony concluded, President Summers called Ambassador Mercer to the podium. "It seems fitting that the diplomat whose dramatic exit began this journey should say the final words today," she said with a smile. John stepped up to the podium, looking out at the gathered representatives. 6 months ago, many of them had watched in shock as he walked out of the council chamber. Now they looked at him with respect. "When I left the council that day, many thought humans were retreating from diplomacy," John said. "The truth was exactly the opposite. We weren't abandoning diplomacy. We were reinventing it. True diplomacy cannot exist without equality, honesty, and mutual respect." He paused, looking at the former council members in the audience. "We never wanted to rule the galaxy. We simply refused to be ruled by others. The Confederation isn't a human empire. It's a true partnership among equals. That's what we fought for. That's what we've achieved together." As the ceremony ended, John and Olivia walked together down a quiet corridor away from the celebration. "Do you think they'll ever realize how long we planned this?" John asked quietly. Olivia smiled. "Some already suspect. The smarter ones know our withdrawal was too organized to be spontaneous." 8 years of preparation, John mused. Gathering intelligence, developing technology in secret, building private relationships with independent worlds. And all because they underestimated us from the beginning, Olivia added. "They saw our diplomacy as naive, our friendliness as weakness." "Their biggest mistake," John said, "was forgetting that humans are at our most diplomatic when we're planning to change the rules of the game." Behind them, the sounds of celebration echoed through Harmony Station as the new Galactic Confederation took its first steps into history.